Welcome to the Beautiful Step Podcast,
where we
run,
stomp,
tiptoe,
and tango into the confusing
but beautiful
world of togetherness. We are your hosts, Kris
and Charity.
Now, let's go make our together even better.
I was expecting you to be like, we're going to talk about relationship inflation.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, what? What are we talking about?
Relationship inflation.
Relationship inflation.
Yeah, I like it. You
That
did
was
it
the
much
job.
better. It was much more soulful.
You like that?
Yes. Maybe we should be country stars.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty good. Oh, I forgot to use the reverb on here. Where is that again? Oh, wait.
Are you going to redo relationship inflation with the reverb?
Relationship inflation.
Nice.
What do you think?
I like the fake vibrato too. That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. Relationship inflation.
It's not a thing.
It's everyone's worried about inflation, which is just means that the dollar.
Wait, like right now, you mean?
Yes,
in the world today?
In the world.
Okay, so if you're listening right now, we're in a time of inflation. Right?
Inflationary period, they call it.
Financial.
Inflationary period.
Thanks, doctor.
So you might have times when there isn't as much inflation like the last 10 years.
We don't know. Yeah, a lot of people haven't really felt inflation.
But now they're feeling it because they're going to the gas station and gas is crazy, and they go to the grocery store and it's $100 more than it was.
Lumber prices are insane.
Yeah. So we thought about this as kind of a fun to look at that fact that like relationships have an inflation feature.
Ooh.
Your same dollar, the concept of,
Yeah, go walk us through inflation really quick.
so your
What's
same
your
dollar might be worth less over time because the cost of other things has gone up. So it's going to buy less than it did before. So my same dollar would have bought a Butterfinger when we were kids, but now I need $1.50 to buy a Butterfinger.
Dude, I'm so old that when I bought a Butterfinger when I was a kid, $1 could have got me a case of them things.
Oh, I used to buy actually 4 Butterfingers for $1. That was like the special at Cars.
It's the best.
Yeah, I do
love
like
it.
Butterfingers. But so that's the concept of inflation. But relationships have an inflationary period because you might be in a relationship and it has become less valuable than it used to be.
Hey, are you saying that I'm not the same dollar that
You have
showed
appreciated, babe.
I've appreciated.
You've appreciated.
Stop it.
Yes.
I have the.
You've grown more valuable. Which
Well,
is
you always say that I'm better looking than I've ever.
so
better looking than I've ever
so
been.
true. So true.
Even in the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so relationship inflation. But the reason that I think you're more valuable now than you were then
Babe.
is because of a concept called endowment, which I think we've talked about a little bit.
Wait, what? Okay.
Endowment just
You're
means...
throwing out all kinds of doctor words. You know what the thing that I resent right now is once you got your doctorate, you're starting to say all these words that no one understands.
This is not true.
Endowment, inflation. No,
These are finance words, which I've been a finance person for 20-something years.
I love you.
So, okay.
I trust you. Go.
So endowment is another principle that, like, the longer you own something, the more valuable it gets to you.
Okay.
You are more valuable to me because I've owned you.
Own me. You own me. You don't own me. I say who. I say when. Wait. Okay. So if you own it, you value it more.
Yes, if you really own it, you value it more. So I have a corduroy coat that I bought
My babe. I
from a
love
thrift
you.
store when we were very first married. I don't even think we were married yet. I met you.
I can see you in that corduroy coat.
I still have it.
Corduroy coat right now.
I still have it. I still wear it. And actually,
I love it.
our daughter has tried to steal it a few times, and I've told her, when I'm dead, you're allowed to have it. But for right now, it's so important to me that I won't let you have it.
I love it. Now my turn. I believe your principle.
Okay.
Because I have a guitar that was very expensive. It's a Les Paul. And by the way, Les Paul is the one who created the electric guitar. So if you're a guitar player and you don't have a Les Paul, What's that say about you? Sorry. Okay, but I have this Les Paul, 1993 Les Paul, I think it is, 94, 95,
Maybe.
something like this.
Yeah,
it's an
95.
early 90s Les Paul.
American made.
American made, super valuable, like so expensive that I couldn't afford it. Like a bunch of people got together and got this for me.
Yes.
Anyway, and since 1994, I have proceeded to destroy that guitar.
Yes.
It has buckle rash. It is like the paint's worn off the back of it. I've had the pickups in and out. It's Frankenstein. I broke the head off of it. The actual head off of it. Was supposed to get it professionally because it's an expensive guitar. You get it, a luthier to put it back on.
Oh,
not me. I got.
Is that a name?
Yeah, that's luthier.
Wow.
A luthier, and I'm saying it, and it's nuanced. Luthier, like it's like a
wow.
But what I'm saying is, I used Elmer's wood glue, which is fantastic.
Aww.
Elmer's wood glue and toothpicks, and I put it back together. And right now, the world is going to tell me, no, I mean, without question, it's worthless. Mm-hmm. Like it's worthless, like not worthless. It's worthless. Like it doesn't hold the value because the neck has been, and the electronics are no good in it. Yet, if the house is burning down, provided that you're out and the kids are out, my grandbaby's not in there. Iris, I love you, and Emily Emery and Nash. Sorry, talking too fast. It is the thing that I will run in and get.
Yes.
I love that guitar.
As far as objects, yeah.
I love the guitar as far as objects go.
But if you
love your coat.
Yes, but if you were to go try to sell that, go on Facebook and sell that guitar,
right,
it's worth nothing. But
right,
or very little, pennies on the dollar.
Right.
Whereas but to you, it's actually grown in value.
Right. And so here's my question, Doc, is your concept of relationship inflation. Aren't we just talking about sentimentality? Like, I've had it so long, I don't want to get rid of it?
No, I think that the concept is that your relationship is going to change in value to you. You're going to have times when it's worth more and when it's worth less. And
yeah, okay.
Don't
sorry.
you think?
Yeah, but I don't want to cut you off.
No.
But I think it's more than that.
Okay.
I think that, if we're going to use this concept of value, and we're going to use this concept of, sort of relationship, I think it's more than just the fact that it changes that makes it good. I think it has, because I'm racking my brain right now. Why is my guitar that I've trashed so valuable?
Why is it?
And here's what I think. And I think this speaks to your coat. Because let me put it this way. I look at my guitar, and in so many ways, it confirms me. And in so many ways, it accuses me.
Wow.
And here's why I say that. Because if that guitar could play the songs or like sing, or like if it could tell stories, dude, so much. I did so much on that guitar. Like, I wrote songs. I tried so hard. I played the reason why it's so trash is because I played it, man. I played it. And I played it and I lived emphasizing like a certain part of myself.
Yeah.
As I did it.
Yeah.
And so the thing that thing does, and the reason why I love it so much and keep it around and would like to look at it, is because I think it keeps alive something.
A self.
I think it could, yeah.
Your artist, musician self.
You're a genius. I love this.
No, this is what you brought up, right? So we have these selves. We have these, we've talked about how there's marriages inside of a marriage and there's seasons that you go through. But beyond that, you have all these components of yourself.
Right.
You have selves, you have lives within your life.
And so the thing about the guitar is, like, if I was that artistic and creative and musicianish or whatever you want to call it, then that means that I can still be it, and I still am it. Right?
Yeah. And
it calls out to me. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, why does your little maroon coat matter? What life is it talking to?
Yes, it's talking to like my early fun, like buy things at thrift stores, young, stylish self.
It keeps it alive.
It keeps it alive.
And
Absolutely.
alive it is.
It is.
You really are creative and thrift store-ish.
I really am, but there's probably times when that just wasn't of value.
Right.
So what you're saying is like the accusation of that piece of you is you recognizing that maybe it's taken a back seat and is now not as much.
Which is why I would say it confronts me, because I'm like, wait, I need to balance. I need to kind of get my artistic self back out right now. That could be stunted or whatever. But I mean, come on, this stuff is true with friends. Like, why would you keep? Like, we had Max come over.
Oh, I love Max. He was here a couple of nights ago, and it's fun because we've been friends for 25 years. So long. And you look at it, actually, no, we've been friends for 30-something years, I think of it. And you go, well, if you apply the concept of endowment, his relationship, his friendship with us is so valuable because we have been through so much in life. We have so many years, so many shared experiences.
The shared experiences.
It has made the relationship that much more valuable than somebody I would meet a year ago.
And we've exactly so much more valuable than someone you have met a year ago. And I think it has so much to do. We've said this before, but you lose Max. You lose a piece of yourself. You lose a piece of your hard drive. You lose a piece of like your history. You lose an access to a self.
Yes.
You really do. You lose an access to a self that you once were and could still be.
Yes, because they're telling you, they're reminding you that is who you were, just by being around them.
So this is crazy when it comes into like your most prominent relationship, so your partnership, your marriage, whatever. This is a big deal.
It is.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because I know that so many people are in a point in their relationship where they're like, this, I'm not seeing the value. I think we should cut it off. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm championing for right now is what if you pause just for a second and you thought, what is a case for staying together?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what will this cost me?
Yes.
To stay together.
Yeah.
Or to break up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think we're going to do that in a coming podcast.
Like
really
we should walk
you through. Like,
yeah.
Should you end this? Like, should it be replaced? But if we were just to assess, you might be valuing something less because maybe it's not the same value as your partner. Like, I value something that you don't really value. So I want to compare.
It happens.
Totally. So let's say we all have lives, which we do. Like, lives within our lives. And people reference this all the time. How's your emotional life? Like, how's your emotional state? They might not ask you, but they might be making
emotional state, emotional life. Yeah, I think I've heard emotional.
How's your work life? How's your sex life?
Sex life, yes.
How's your social life?
Social life, yes.
How's your family life?
Spiritual life is a big one.
How's your spiritual life?
So these are things you live out.
Yes. These are like elements of you that if you were to look at yourself as a pie chart,
right?
And again, with the money examples, if you were to look at yourself as an asset allocation that makes up who you are, you have these things that are part of you, these assets, that are you, and they're making up certain parts of you. Which things have taken big pieces of the pie?
I love it.
And small pieces of the pie. Because as soon as one thing takes bigger, the rest of them take smaller.
You can't help that, right?
You only have one whole pie.
And the reason why I like what you're doing here with the whole sex life, social life, spiritual life, it's because it's across the board. It's true for everyone.
Everyone has these elements. You might not put any money and investment into them, but
right.
You have them. They're either a neglected piece of the pie.
Yeah, I love that.
Or maybe they're an overemphasized piece of the pie.
Yeah. You're not all sex, dude.
Yeah. Right. So over the years, we've had different allocations. Like we really maybe focused and invested on one area.
So true.
Because as you invest in an area, it might grow.
Sure.
But then you come to a point where it's taken up so much of the pie that if that area is attacked, you're derailed real bad. Like for me,
Oh, wow.
such a huge piece of my life had been the spiritual life that I attached also to a certain community. That when that is gone, it will make you question your whole existence.
Whoa.
Because it's taken so much value. It's maybe skewed or gone rogue in that allocation.
Man, this is so, yeah, I love it. Revolutionary thought. It's crazy too to look back on so many of the things that were maybe overemphasized or emphasized. The life, like especially coming up in professional Christianity or church, it's this thing that they were like, your sex life is the thing that is either going to make or break you.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways they were right, especially in that institution, right? But it was almost like saying, you could give a shit about your financial life, you could give a shit about your physical life, as long as, so here I am feeling really fat and poor, but I am spiritual. And so therefore I should be feeling really good. And you, Charity, should be really attracted to this dollar bill. And you're like, no, you had a good body when we met.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh yeah. These things are all of a sudden, they're all of a sudden being assessed as, wait, is this valuable? Like,
yep. And
that's a big deal.
It is. And you might be really invested in a certain area and your partner invested in a different area. And then you're wondering, you're like, well, I gave more. And you're like, I gave more. But then you're both realizing that you're giving to something totally different than the other person.
Sure. I mean, come on. Isn't that the mantra, though? Everyone believes they're giving more than their partner.
And they are in a certain area.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that.
So you're right. It's true.
So you need to look at it from a partnership perspective and say, okay, let's just rank these. So we talked about how it would be really good just to assess maybe what areas have gotten out of whack. Because
wait, are you talking like you should do this personally?
Yeah.
You should be like, okay, all right, so I've lost weight. I have, I put a few bucks in the bank, but I, could give two shits about reading any philosophy or spiritual stuff right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm dying over here.
Yes.
Like, you need to do that from time to time.
Yes, and the reality is if you deny any major part of yourself, you have these selves, whether you acknowledge them or not, they're there.
Yeah.
If you deny them, if you starve them, they're going to shrivel up and die. You will suffer a loss of a certain piece of yourself.
Ooh. I'm going to put it even more pointedly, and like on the spiritual side of things, you will suffer some sort of death.
Yeah.
In your life.
Yes.
In one of your lives, which will affect
Absolutely.
the big picture. Is as much as you can look at, your relationship and go like, oh, well, you're not showing up, in this area of your life, therefore none of this relationship has any value. That's the same kind of effect. Like, if you forget or if you're neglecting a certain life within your life, I feel like it really does have the power to destroy a lot more than you think.
Oh, it'll affect everything. You can't have one section that's a fallacy. Everything is going to affect your life. Each one of those components is going to affect the overall whole, what you get out of your life, who you are. Because you have in your mind a way that you wanted to be, an allocation that you wanted. I want to be a uber spiritual person and a kind of physical person. I want to have a good sex life. And I've kind of, somehow, you've probably decided, whether subconsciously or consciously, what kind of person you want to be and what you want to be known as.
Sure.
But you should be assessing those lives within your life and saying, like, is this the allocation that I wanted? Am I in agreement? Am I in alignment with who I really wanted to be?
That's so good. You have to start there.
Yeah.
But what if you applied this to your relationship, right? You're like, everyone's going to do this, right? They're going to go, well, I think our relationship should look like this, and we should be here as a couple, and we should be doing these things, and we should be like, where is the white porch with the swing, and, you have your little pipe, and I have my book, and, that's the way we're going to end. Like, everyone has these fairy tales that they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not, it's that frustration of like, you go, okay, I think I should be this far,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we should be this, but we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're still working this stuff out.
Yeah.
Which is super frustrating.
It is, but assessment is the beginning of change, right? I mean, if you just acknowledgement is the beginning of change because you can at least look at it. So we were
Right.
saying it might be good just to go and do a self-evaluation of each life. And the questions you could ask
Like
yourself
personally. Yeah.
and then talk about it together. Like, wait, are we valuing the same? Like, where are we at here? Like, are we off? Are we missing the mark with each other and not connecting because you might think one thing's really valuable and I don't think we've gotten skewed? Or we
Right.
might point out like, oh, you know, you used to really value this area and you don't anymore, and that's kind of throwing me off. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, you know, you used to talk to me for an hour every morning, and that's not happening. And by the way, I'm like basically almost out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if those words should come out of your mouth if you're trying to
Yeah.
salvage something,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
those kinds of feelings are coming up.
Yeah, and you could start it with by saying, like, at the beginning of our relationship, if you looked at these things, our
Yeah.
social, family, sex, spiritual, physical, environment, or emotional work, if you looked at those, you could say, what do you think we were at the beginning? How did we value each of those categories at the beginning? And then you say, how do we value them now? Are we doing the same thing? And if I had to restart this, if I had to restart a relationship, would I have the same values, and would I be willing to put in certain things that I'm not putting in now?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question. I mean, that we are doing that on another podcast, but
Yeah.
that is so big.
Like, am I
It's
willing
like, if
to?
I cut this off, am I starting this over?
Yeah,
Woo, I don't know.
let's really consider that. So you could start the thing by looking at what you valued as a couple, but really this starts with yourself. So you could ask
Yeah.
yourself, am I recognizing that these are all areas of my life that they're there? I'm going to quit ignoring that they're there
Yes.
and just say, I do have a sexual self. I do have a spiritual self. I do have an emotional self. I do have a work life. I have these things. I'm going to recognize them. And then I'm going to say, what value am I giving each of these?
Yeah.
Have they gotten out of whack? Have I been investing a substantial amount in one and not in another? Are there some that I'm looking at and I'm saying, in what ways did I marginalize that area where it shrunk to that?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
We've all been there where you're like, oh, how did I get here?
So true.
How did I end up with no money? How did I end up with debt? Like, wait a second. Maybe if I would have done an assessment along the line and said, I'm probably overvaluing my social life and spending money in this area to the point where it's like it's starving out this other area.
Man, it's so good. I love what you're saying. And I think maybe one like some clarifying language that may be helpful is you could look at your life and go, you know what? I think I want more.
Yes.
Like, take it from an abundance thing, right? Like, when it comes to financial stuff, maybe I have just convinced myself that I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life. And I'm like, you know what? To hell with that. Maybe I want more.
I'm gonna put knowledge investment in,
I love
and
it.
like time investment
That's
in,
so good.
and I'm gonna start with money investment to where that's a bigger piece. I want more in that area.
Right.
I want more emotional life. I want more spiritual life. I
Right.
want more physical life.
Right.
I want a better sex life. Well, then you better start investing in those areas.
That's so good.
Right? So you could ask yourself, which areas have I kind of starved? Which areas have I fed too much?
Ooh.
Now they're just kind of the monster that's eating up the pie.
Mm-hmm.
Which areas have I fed too much?
That's really good.
Yeah, and then you could be, I think this is one that we go back to over and over, but are there certain areas where you've kind of decided that you don't have the power to change that because of two reasons? You just have a bad like poverty mentality in that area, like you're mentioning, like I just always thought I'd be poor, or I just always thought I'd be
Yeah.
I don't really think I have the power to do something about that. But the other thing is that maybe you've decided that someone else controls that area.
Oh, yeah. I love it when you put it this way, because you do this a lot, and this is a really helpful thought. You say, why are you letting someone else make that decision for you? Like, why is that person deciding something that you should?
Yes.
Why are you abdicating your responsibility?
Yeah.
Why are you giving them responsibility for something that you have the perfect amount of power
Yes.
to do.
Well, I think this plays out, for instance, a woman might say, or a man might say, I don't feel really sexual. I don't feel really desirable. I don't feel, and then they could take it one of two ways. It's because my partner doesn't make me feel desirable.
Oh.
Which is just saying they control my sexual life.
Hey.
Or you could say, I am going to take control of feeling desirable and sexual and all of those things.
Yeah.
And therefore, what steps do I need to take to have a whole self there? What do I need to make it the percentage that I want? Then you're like, oh, okay. It was so funny. A friend of ours was telling me that they were going through some sort of counseling, and the counselor said, each person is responsible for their own orgasm.
Amen, sister.
And I thought, that is genius. You're responsible.
That's
No one
helpful. That's actually really
it's actually helpful. So in areas like that, or we see it all the time in spiritual life. People will say like, well, I just really can't be that spiritual because my husband just isn't a good enough leader and he's not praying enough, and therefore I'm going to do this, or whatever.
Well, I can do a little bit more Christian-y stuff where that whole thing of like, I'm leaving this place because I'm not being fed.
Oh.
It's like, come on, you're just not eating.
Yeah.
You're starving yourself in every other area. You come in here. It's like, golly.
You don't have an emotional life because you haven't invested in an emotional life. You don't have a spiritual life because you don't have a good financial life because you haven't invested there. You
don't have an emotional life because you've taken bong hits 4 times a day and you've pushed pause on your development. Folks.
Amen.
Come on.
You don't have a social life because you're not actually investing in a social life.
It takes risk to get your ass out there and get to a bar and talk to some people.
It is hard work. And nothing grows without some sort of investment. If you always used to say this, whatever you marginalize
will disappear.
And whatever you
love and nurture will come to more than you could ever ask or think.
It'll grow or it'll shrink depending on what you do. Yeah. But there is, do
good.
Not buy into the fallacy that by avoiding it, you're doing nothing.
Hey.
Because avoiding it or not acknowledging it or standing still does not mean that nothing's happening. It actually means that something else is taking greater area and snuffing out.
Which is why you came up with this concept or introducing this concept of inflation.
Yeah, and asset allocation.
Inflation moves. Like it doesn't stay static. It's always moving. Yeah.
Always moving. It's always going to be worth more or less.
Yeah.
So your relationship and then what makes that and yourself, all of those things have these components that are moving all the time. And so a good money manager, if you were to compare it to an asset allocation, would say, hey, are you in alignment with what we said that we were going to do? Like you said you wanted 60% bonds as you turned 50 and 40%, or something more secure.
Yeah.
Are you reallocating? Because a good manager will say, let's go in and let's sell some things and buy some things to reallocate what we need to do to keep you on the path you want to be on.
Man, it's so funny because early on, and you would totally agree, early on, you and I both know that you married me for my body.
Yes.
100%.
So true.
Let's just tell the world that is the reason why.
It is.
You married me, right? And you put all your eggs in that basket.
Oh, really?
And my body was the thing that brought value to this relationship.
Oh.
Your pie chart was so whatever.
I counted everything as physical.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay.
It was all about my body, right?
Yes.
And it's one of those things where it's like.
Well, it wasn't like, well, she's got a good personality. No.
No, the thing is my body was the thing that brought value to our relationship. And that was all of your eggs in that one basket. Right? And this is the thing where you're like, but like you were saying earlier, if I lose my body, what value does this relationship have?
Yes.
And as you're moving into, I'm being funny, but I'm just saying, especially early on in a relationship, you're going to have that thing right? You're going to have like, oh man, we love each other because like we're both.
You were so attracted to that person because of this area.
Yeah, like we're both Christians, or we're both intellects,
or we both love to go hiking.
Yeah, we hike together. Like I finally found someone who can hike, and it's like you're saying, like if you were to take your money and put it all on one thing, like I am investing in Amazon, like smart.
Yep.
So smart, because Amazon is on its rise.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
And it's this whole idea of like, okay, keep doing that. But let me just tell you a little story, because, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I don't know, maybe this is longer, but at some point in our relationship, every single person that we knew had a Blockbuster card. And the thing I would have been telling people is like, you need to get some Blockbuster stock as fast as you get. Like early, like you need to, this is the thing that will never, ever go away. It will never change, and it'll make you rich. You're so convinced of it. All of your, money is in it. And I guess that's what I'm getting at is like, how do you get from that? Like, he used to talk to me. He used to have a good body. You're rehearsing all of this stuff that was like the things that you invested in. Like, how do you get over that, Miss Dr. Charity?
Well, you have a conversation about it. You go like, this used to be a priority for us. Or you just start with being positive. Like, what are the priorities for us now? And then you could ask the furthering question of, have those things changed from when we first started? Have we shifted priorities? And have we now prioritized the same things, or are we going in a different direction? Are you now saying that the physical thing is much more important, and I'm saying that it's not, when we used to be kind of at the same point there?
Ooh. So what you're saying is self-assessment is good, but I mean, you actually have to speak up at some point.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I want to nail you down with, though, is it does come to a point where I think a person has to look at their lives, within life, like sex life, social life, all that kind of thing. And I think that they have to use your terms, diversify.
Yes. It's
You're
wise.
not diversifying. Like, you've invested everything you have in Blockbuster. And, or remember when you invested everything in Blockbuster and lost it all? You're kind of doing that now with Amazon or something. You know what I mean? Like those kind of conversations, right? Like
they're skewing what you think is the value. If you had 20 cents on every dollar invested in a certain thing, then that dollar, if you take away one of the 20 cents, that dollar's only shrunk to 80. But let's say 70 cents was invested in one thing, like our emotional connection.
Right.
And now that emotional connection is really gone, or our physical life is gone, our sexual life is gone. Well, now all of a sudden that dollar went from $1 to 30 cents because we just took away a component that like had a huge weight.
Wow.
And so the point is that you have to really be honest and go like, am I devaluing this relationship because the thing I valued the most is deteriorating, and I'm not actually recognizing that there are a whole bunch of other elements here that probably should have more of a percentage, and I just marginalized, or I just devalued, and like, could I raise the dollar back up? Could I raise the value back up if I just simply said, if our sex life got bad, or our physical life got bad, let's say, one of us becomes really hurt or something, and like all the things I expected you to do around the house because you're so strong, you couldn't do anymore.
Right.
I look at it and I go, okay, well, instead of making that the thing that devalues the whole relationship, how about I just bring it into a correct alignment with where it actually should have been in importance?
Wow.
And take those other things and say, those are important too, and I'm going to quit focusing so much on that one that's taken over a really skewed percentage of the portfolio.
And I think you can only I love that thought. I think you can only get there if you have diversified.
Yes.
If you didn't have all of your money in Blockbuster, right? And that's why I think it's so important to do the work
Yes.
on each of the lives, and not only do the work personally, but to look at your relationship
Yeah.
and be able to say, have we diversified? Have we allocated stuff? Like we're you know, let's do a little
Are
more.
you expecting me to take care of that element of yourself? Because I'm not gonna. You have to do that. Like,
right.
Let's look at that.
Yeah. Why are you making me make that decision?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really important conversations to have. So just that,
I love it.
having that frank conversation. What am I doing with myself? Am I in alignment with who I wanted to be,
Right.
and the areas of focus that I wanted to have in these different lives of inside my life? And then as a partnership, are we on the same? Are we going the same direction? Like,
Right.
are we diversifying the same? Do we think the same things of value? And it doesn't mean that if they're off, you're ending it. It just means like you actually need to talk about, like, why is this changing? This used to be something
Yeah.
we really thought together.
We're being so
and
scared
now,
of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And man, I think this is a good moment for me to interject another thing that am reminded of what you said, or you know, a principle that I hear you sort of bring to the surface quite a bit. Because right now, what we're doing is we're talking about, you know, how do you even dig deeper and do the harder work?
Yeah.
This isn't a conversation of like, when do you cut someone off? Like, let's do that on the next podcast. But this is the one where you're like, I'm failing to see the value here. And what I think is a really important concept that I know you have
like
said
where
a
you're going with
million
this.
times. You already know where I'm going with it, because this is a mantra for you. It's like, I know that I've heard you say, I don't think I've created anything of value overnight. But
Right.
I know that I have created some incredibly valuable things over the last 10 years.
Yes.
And that's how you build wealth. That's how you build value. That's how you truly make a difference. You're not going to make a difference in one day.
No, you're going to do it every little step. Every little thing you do is towards that greater investment, is towards that greater, like,
Yeah.
whole. If I want to be this, then each little step is a move towards that. I think one of the things I've really kind of have the principle of endowment in and understand is,
baby.
yeah, I own it, is that I know there's certain things I need to do because I'll need them in the future.
Wow.
There's certain things I need to learn now that I don't really need right now, but I know intrinsically I'm going to need them in the future.
Yes.
And so in your relationship, if you go, well, you know, our emotional life isn't really something I'm feeling like I need to invest a lot in, but I should keep sowing there because we probably will really need that. My work
That's
life,
just
like
so good.
all these things are like, I need to be sowing in there because I'm looking at it for the long term. And again, this is really only for people that want their relationships to work. But if you're looking to make your dollar more valuable, if you're looking to make your relationship more valuable,
Love it. This is the only way to go.
this is the only way to go.
I love it.
Yeah.
And the thing that so I love what you were saying. This is how you sort this out in your mind, is you're saying, I need to do things today because I know tomorrow's coming.
Yes.
And I know that good things are coming, big things are coming. I need to be prepared. This isn't going to be worse. It's going to be better.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some moves now. And I think it's the same thing that I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Because this is the way that I sort these things out in my mind. And it's a little bit more on the spiritual side of things, where I'm like, look, there's so much depth and so many secrets and secret wisdom that come only from longevity.
So true.
Like, look, you don't know what you have coming for you if you stick this out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand the depth of character that you're going to have. And this, like, it's like the secret things of God are hidden in your longevity in your relationships, and you're sticking it out and you're not cutting it off, and it's the same. It's a financial thing almost.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if you cut it off now, like you always say, like when there's like people are looking at their finances and it's on a graph or whatever, if you zoom into it like a week, the highs and lows, you're like, I'm gonna cut it off right there. But if you zoom out over 10 years, you realize, oh my goodness, it's gone exponentially
Yes.
higher. So the
Yeah.
thing that encourages me to really stick things out is those secrets, that secret wisdom. Because here's the thing that I've realized over my short 50 years of life is the truths that have been imparted to me through our relationship over the last 25 years, there's no way I could have handled when I first started. There's a depth of like...
I wouldn't have even understood what somebody would have told me.
We wouldn't have valued it.
No. It'd have been like, that's not going to happen to me.
Exactly.
I won't need that because that won't happen to me. Right. So arrogant. You know,
and, so funny. And so that's the thing where I'm like, oh man, the secret things of God are hidden.
Yes, until you can handle them.
Until you can
handle them. I love that.
That kind of wisdom and that kind of depth of character is only given to the select few who make it. You know what I mean? Really.
Yeah.
And it's and that's not pejorative towards a person who has been through a divorce. Sorry, I'm not saying that.
No.
What I'm saying is this is our moment, your and I moment, to be able to say to people, maybe you should think twice before you cut this off, right? Maybe there are some things for you. If you want more, maybe, the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah.
Because we're convincing ourselves of that stuff all the time.
Yes.
Like there's a real relationship out there for me. There's a person who will really understand me. Like, no, I don't think there is.
Well, maybe there is.
Maybe
there is. But if you want the one you have to get better, you have to invest and you have to diversify and you have to figure it out and you have to do that hard work of analysis and go, okay, what little steps are we taking? And then you have to have really honest conversations about like, okay, that used to be a thing that was a really big deal and we've kind of marginalized it and let it go to, you know, down the drain, and let's reinvest there.
That's so true.
Yeah. So really good.
Yeah.
But next podcast, we're actually talking about when you know to cut it off.
I have so much to say about that.
You do?
I really do. There's a couple of kind of key concepts and big ideas that I think are really helpful. They sort of play into this and, but yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Right on. Let's do it.
All right.
Wait, babe, wait. How do we end this?
By saying thank you.
Okay, you guys are awesome. Thank you. There's nothing more encouraging than you hitting that like button and commenting.
And don't forget to subscribe.
And I know there's more. You have a list. Might as well go down the list.
Right. Okay. Watch the video of this podcast on our Beautiful Step YouTube channel or on our website where you can actually download transcripts and show notes of the episode. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
If today's episode made your together even better, tell someone.
Okay, now.
Right now.
Today.
Okay.
You can take one step.
It's just one step.
Toward the beautiful relationship you want in your life.
You got this.